This is a very interesting panel because we've been talking a lot about geospatial solutions and the impact that geospatial solutions has for planning, monitoring, and looking into the better uses of the Amazon forest. But we have very few examples of how Amazonian government is really moving swiftly and quickly into incorporating the most innovative geospatial solutions to protect its forest. So today we're going to discuss the role that a regional geospatial analysis and monitoring has as a region, and at the same time come down to real examples of how a country, Suriname, is moving fastly towards a more innovative perspective in terms of geospatial tools for planning and of zoning and of thinking of its forest. So for this panel, I would like to invite Diego Medeiros from Codex. Please. Mauro Rufino from OTCA, and Minister Dasai from Suriname. So in order to start our conversation, I would like to pass the word first to Diego. Is that right? Okay.
Hello everyone, is that okay? Yo creo que yo tengo unas diapositivas. Eso. Thank you very much. I'm here representing a company called Codex. It's a Brazilian company that developed the first phase of the Geospatial Intelligence Hub in Suriname, along with HISAT, Surinamese company, of course funded by the IDB. And I'm here to show, in our experience, why these kinds of hubs are important. And the minister is going to show the actual, something about the hub, but I'm going to show about the experience, about why data centralization is necessary in these days for decision making. In every single tool, in every single way, you have always those three parameters: data, the tools, and then we can make decisions based on the tools. But we need the right data centralized in the right place, build the correct applications, the right applications, and then we can extract decisions. We can make decisions based on that data with the tools, for example. But the data, the interaction tools, the analytics, they are very, very complicated. Very complicated. In our experience, in order to do decision making, we need, of course, the data. We need the data centralized, but we need the correct data. We need the most up-to-date data centralized, because if we have, for example, 20 plus versions of the same data in the same place, which one we are going to use to make the new boundaries of Suriname, for example? It happened to us in Brazil. We did a lot of projects. I'm going to show some of them here really quickly. And we had one layer, like a boundary layer, 48 times. When we put all the data together, we have 48 times the same data. And how can you make decisions based on 28 versions of the same data? So, for example, the Bio-Amazonia grid is a very good example of how it's going to be, how this can be working. You start with all the countries as you showed yesterday for us, but the next step is to think about data, to think about decision making, to think about, for example, a layer of deforestation that every single country that is part of the thing can access, can edit, can do the changes, and can have the same vision, not a layer for deforestation in Brazil, a layer for deforestation in Suriname, a layer for deforestation in Peru, and every single one not connecting with each other. So data is about connecting, is about centralizing, is about putting the right thing in the right place. after we have that, that in my opinion is the most difficult part, because when you talk about governments, when you talk about different entities, it's very hard to tell them that they need to share the data, that they need to use the data from the same place, because they think that the data is going to be captured, that the data is not going to be theirs anymore. So we need to start from the zero always. We did, as I'm going to show you. And once we move from the data step, we can start to make applications. For example, we have data about hydrology, very good data, very up-to-date data centralized. We can make hydrology applications, for example, to show whatever we need to show. And with those hydrology, for example, applications, we can make decisions based on hydrology, based on whatever. So that framework shows that data is, we can build tools to access the data, and based on that, we can make those decisions. For example, if you have a database centralized, if you have a specialized knowledge that is required, lots of teams, we can do advanced analytics, and based on that, we can make decision making. And by decision making, we can make politics about energy, about whatever. But to do that thing, we need the correct data. For example, if I don't have the energy data, how can I do a decision making process if I don't have the data? So that framework shows how all the hubs needs to be built, starting from data, then the tools, and then the analytics. For example, we build more than 6 hubs in Brazil, one in our state, Rio Grande do Sul, one in the federal district, which is Isdia, in Paraná, in Rio de Janeiro. All of them, we had to follow those steps, and all of them, the first step was the hardest one, to put every single data together and trying to clean the ones that were not correct. For example, in the SDI infrastructure for Rio de Janeiro, we have more than 90,000 data when we put every single thing together. We have 48 times the same layer, and we didn't, the client, well, the government, didn't know which one was the correct one. So how can you do decision making based on data that you don't know which one is correct, you don't know which one is the most updated one? So the most important thing here is to do decision making, we need to centralize the data. I'm talking about not geospatial data here, but anything needs to be centralized and everyone access from the same source, from the centralized place. And once you have that, we can go a step forward. We can talk about the applications. We can talk about the decision-making process, which is the aim of every single initiative is to do decision-making about the Amazonia, is to do decision-making about the deforestation in Amazonia, about the fires, the bushfires, and so on. But we need the correct data in the correct place, and every single one having the same view of the data, not just decentralized as we are doing, as we are having in today's world.
Okay, very interesting, because it can lead us to this discussion of selectivity of data, shareability of data, and how to translate data for decision making and policy building. And that's a lot of conversation on coordination and collaboration. So with that, I would give the word to Mauro from OTCA, which has been working strongly exactly on these aspects.
Thank you, Tatiana. Good morning, everybody. Well, the Amazon Regional Observatory is a recent platform that we launched in November 2021. It's a platform that integrates the different data from different institutions from the 8 countries that belong to the Amazon region. And the main difficulty between us is really the shared the information, data share. No? But we have a different models. Each models according to the Amazon Cooperation Accord, no? And we have some different thematics for biodiversity, forest, climate change, indigenous people, and so on. So the platform are in constant development, no? Not only for the news model, but the strength of the model that's just in online. And I think it's very interesting proposal. We have with the declaration of Belém from the last year, one of the resolution, minister revolution, is to institutionalize the Amazon Cooperation Treaty, Amazon Cooperation Observatory, and there is a paragraph that so that to entrust to the permanent secretary to continuously ensure real-time access the Amazon Regional Observatory and its very models to the member countries and their institutions, as well as the establishment of future nature observatories in each member countries. So this is a baby. I think this is a baby of this rub of the Aro in Suriname. So I think it's very interesting to, you would like to make some kind of approach with your propose and establish how we can establish the interoperability between the hub and Aro. Now, for example, in 2021, 22, we support to the Suriname to develop your biodiversity information system, for example, and we support to Suriname to develop a traceability of wood according to the same methodology that they according with IBAMA from Brazil, for example. So I think there is very many information and systems in Suriname. In the past, during the we have the a project that monitored the forest covers, no? That was supported by BNDES some years ago. So during this period, with this project, we established a situation room in each countries, no? Including the Suriname. In some countries, this room is not upgraded, but in Suriname there is a good upgrade of the systems, and so I think there is many good systems just installed there, but maybe the challenge is how to put everybody together in same page. No? And well, we have the interest that you can occur like a pilot of the rub of Aro, for example. So we have interest to participate, if possible, in how to can collaborate together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mauro. So for those who do not know Suriname, Suriname isn't, for us in IDB, it's 100% Amazonia. Even the mud banks are related to Amazonia because it's related to the sediments from the Amazonia River. Suriname is a beautiful country, has almost 98% protected by forests. The Suriname River, it's beautiful. I've been there. I'm a big fan of Suriname, Minister. I love Paramaribo. So, and IDB has a long-standing work in Suriname in many areas. So we've been working with the Suriname government in protecting historical heritage of the buildings of Paramaribo. We have been working with Suriname now with an energy combo where we're going to have energy, access to connectivity, bioeconomy. So IDB has a very, very special relationship with Suriname, and with this Geospatial Intelligence Hub, I think we're going to bring even more of our technical capability and our partnership with Suriname. So thank you very much, Minister, to join us today, and we would like to hear from you about what we're doing in Suriname together.
Thank you very much, Madam Tashana. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First of all, I would like to thank the IDB for organizing this panel and giving us the opportunity to share information. Like many countries in the region, we are faced with the triple environmental threat: climate change, biodiversity loss, and also pollution. And we have been fighting, Suriname has been fighting for our environment for the last few decades. Even though we are facing a lot of challenges, as you mentioned, it's not 98 but 93% of Suriname is covered with forests, Amazonian forests. And because of this, we have a large carbon sink. Our sink is about 13.1 gigatons of CO2. That means it's about 26 times the weight of all the people in the world. That is what we have on CO2 storage. And this also is connected to our CO2 negative, carbon negative status, because we have been able, since the independence of our country a few decades ago, we have been able to keep our emissions low. We absorb more emission than we emit, and that's why we're carbon negative. So we are one of the 3 carbon negative countries in the world. We have also been able to launch the first ITMOs in the world. ITMOs stand for International Transferable Mitigation Outcomes, helping other countries with their climate goals, because we already reached our climate goal according to the Paris Agreement. And one thing that is very important to notice is that this is the Biodiversity Cup. Suriname is the first in the region that has been able to finish their NBSUP, aligning it with the global biodiversity framework. And one other thing to mention is that we have been able to make jumps in our environmental performance index, where we were 2 years ago in the 80th place. We are now in the top 30 in the world if you look at our environmental performances, and we're number 1 in the region. Even though we have all these results, positive results, we still face the challenge of having the balance between environmental protection and economic development, because we have a lot of potential for agriculture and the extractive industries such as gold, logging, and oil. And to find this balance, it's very important to make data-driven decisions. If you don't have this, you don't have control over your nature. If you don't have control over your nature, who will? So with the use of geospatial solutions, such as our Intelligent Spatial Hub, we are able to use data to analyze, for instance, future projects that would have possible impacts on our environment. And we'll take the right decisions if we have that data. So with the help of the Geospatial Intelligence Hub, GIH, we are able to, for instance, if there is a potential infrastructure project, to look at the impact not only on our land use, but also on the emissions, but also the social impacts, etc., etc. So I think there is a video that will show exactly how we do that. But because of this tool that is already designed, we are now going to the implementation phase. We can inform all actors, not only the government, but also the private sector, the indigenous, the tribal communities. We can connect them, and we can make good policies for the benefit of the country. So I think if it's possible, the video can be shown. Meanwhile, we're waiting. So
Within the hub,
yeah.
it is possible to go through the Geo Grid. Within the Geospatial Intelligence Hub, users can use the GeoGrid web app to perform analysis. This web app contains GeoGrids aggregating data of various data sets, such as schools, villages, hospitals,
Maybe,
ATM
excuse me,
machines, bus stops,
you
protected
should
areas, and
play
much
the
more.
first one, the other one first.
Imagine the user wants to perform an analysis about The Conceptual Geospatial Intelligence Hub contains featured topics with apps and maps. The hub also contains a section with data where the user can browse by category. These categories have been defined together with the local stakeholders. By searching in all the data, when searching in the hub, the user can filter on the map on the left widget to find data that is relevant for the area of interest. It is also possible to use a visual map to understand in which areas data is available for Suriname. The hub also contains a basic map viewer in which the user can change the base map, open existing maps within the hub, add layers, perform measurements and elevations, make sketches, have a 3D visualization, and export to PDF or make a screenshot. Let's add some layers. We click the Add Layer widget and we are adding the villages and mercury observations. A simple map has been created showing the green symbology with the villages and the white triangles with mercury observations. A user is also able to perform measurements by, for instance, measuring the distance between a village and mercury observation. The user is also able to remove the layers and create a new map. Let's now create a 3D map. We change the visualization to 3D. We add the layers palmentuin, the palm trees in Suriname, trees in Suriname, and buildings in Suriname. The map is being generated, and the user is able to use this 3D map to perform analysis and to visualize the effect of weather and to see the effect of daylight on buildings and within the area of the 3D map.
So thank you. Before we go to the second video, so in this video you can see the basics of what the hub can do. You put data in it and you can do the analysis. The second video will show you that with the Geo Intelligence Spatial Hub, you are able to make
Within the
grids
hub, it is
on the map.
possible
The grids you will see consist of hexagons that are about 1 square kilometer. And in each hexagon, you can have data concerning soil, concerning the CO2, concerning the quality of your water, concerning the quality of your biodiversity, concerning how many people live in the area, even how many ATMs are in that area. So if you have, let's say, a plan for development in a certain area in the Amazon, we can make a simulation of how the impact will be on the biodiversity, how the impact will be on the emissions, and the decision would be, okay, what do we do? Do we develop it for the agriculture, or do we keep it like that in order to protect the environment so we can maybe still absorb CO2, which has more value for the country or for the world. So please, the next film.
Within the hub, it is possible to go through the geo grid.
The second, yeah.
Within the Geospatial Intelligence Hub, users can use the GeoGrid web app to perform analysis. This web app contains geogrids aggregating data of various data sets, such as schools, villages, hospitals, ATM machines, bus stops, protected areas, and much more. Imagine the user wants to perform an analysis about a request for mining. The user is able to draw a polygon in a certain area. The user is able to define a certain buffer and then activate the summary widget to understand what the impact will be of the mining request on this area. The results are that in 29 villages, 602 buildings, 1 school, 1 protected area, and various other layers will be impacted. This gives the user a very quick insight in the impact of assigning mining in this area. Let's look at another use case for infrastructure. Imagine there is a plan for building a highway towards the south of Suriname. The line has been drawn and a buffer of 10 kilometers is defined. The user wants to analyze the impact of the surrounding area and clicks on the summary button. The geogrids immediately show that 60 villages with 15,000 buildings will be impacted, schools, and forest. This is how the Geospatial Intelligence Hub will provide insights and data-driven decision making.
So I think this gives an example of how this will work for Suriname, and I strongly encourage other countries in the region to use this so that not only the country itself will be connected or interconnected, but also the various countries in the region will be connected through this hub, and that we can share information. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister, and it is incredible. It's part of the Amazonia 360 Plus. This is a showcase tailored for the country, so it's very important this was built with the government, with all the demands, and I loved the tree ones because this is unique. We don't have it in anywhere else, and I think it's very important because one of the conversations we're going to have, including today throughout the pavilion, is on biodiversity credits in urban areas. So they need to know where the trees are, what the trees are. So this will leverage a lot of possibilities for Suriname, and we're very, very thankful for us being able to work there. Thank you. So now I'll open for questions if anyone has a question.
Thank you, all of you, for the presentation. It's really nice. I would like to know if the Minister of the Suriname already have done some calculado. Estimate like how they could save money using this platform as a tool to project some project.
Thank you very much for the question. So, besides this, we are working on a green development strategy, which will help us, which will guide us in investing in sustainable in our sustainable economy. Um, we have done simulations. For instance, if we do it like how we're doing it now, the business as usual path, where we still are doing gold mining, where we're doing some agriculture, or oil and gas is going to start up, we will see that it will have a large impact on our land use, on our CO2, and on our forests, for instance. And that is not good. So if you ask us if we have done the estimate of how much we can save or we can win, we have done it in a strategy where we have looked at, okay, if we focus on protecting this amount of forest, what will we gain? If we focus on industry, what will we gain or lose? If we focus on agriculture, what we gain? So we have done these projections. And this tool, this Geointelligence Hub, will help us on a more detailed way to do the estimations. But it's still in the design phase, so if we have the implementation, I think it will help us do the right estimations on detail.
So thank you very much for the panel. I think we have here a very good example, and hopefully we'll be able to, I don't know what is the plan for with Suriname, but probably parts of it will be public, right? So it's a public good, and that's very important. So people in Suriname will be able to access it, and hopefully we'll have a good product for the COP30. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good day and a good Sunday.